My husband agreed to one condition when we started this, that I wouldn't get emotionally involved. But how do you control your heart when someone touches parts of you that have been dead for years? My name is Sarah, I'm 34 years old, and I live in Charlotte, North Carolina. I've been married to David for 11 years. We have 2 kids, Emma who's 9 and Lucas who's 7. On the outside, we looked like the perfect American family. The kind you see in magazines, with the house in the suburbs, the minivan, the golden retriever. But behind closed doors, our marriage was crumbling in the most devastating way possible. It wasn't about screaming matches or broken dishes. It was something much worse. Absolute silence. We had become strangers living under the same roof, 2 people who had forgotten how to even look at each other. David worked constantly at his accounting firm, coming home after the kids were asleep. I taught elementary school and spent my evenings alone, wondering when we had stopped being us. Everything changed 6 months ago when David lost his biggest client. The firm started cutting hours, then cutting pay. Within 2 months, we were drowning in debt. The mortgage was 3 months overdue, credit cards maxed out, and we had exactly $47 in our checking account. I'll never forget the night David came home with tears streaming down his face, something I'd only seen once before when his father died. He sat at our kitchen table, put his head in his hands, and said the words that would change everything. "Sarah, we're going to lose the house. I don't know what to do anymore." I held him that night, really held him for the first time in months, and I made a decision. The next morning, while he was in the shower, I did something I never thought I would do. I went online and started researching sugar daddy websites, escort services, premium companionship agencies. The words felt dirty just typing them, but desperation has a way of making you reconsider everything you thought you knew about yourself. If you're following this story and want to hear more real confessions like this, please hit that subscribe button. We're working toward our goal of 5,000 subscribers, and your support means everything to this channel. Just click on subscribe, and you'll never miss an update. 3 days later, I found an agency in Atlanta called Elite Connections. It wasn't what you might think. They were very clear. This was about companionship, dinner dates, social events. The website emphasized discretion and professionalism. I told myself it would just be a few months, just enough to get us back on our feet. I'd go to Atlanta once or twice a week. David would never have to know the details, and we'd save our home. But I knew I had to tell him something. I couldn't just disappear 2 nights a week without explanation. So one night, after the kids were in bed, I poured us both a glass of wine, and I told him everything. I watched his face cycle through shock, anger, disgust, and then finally, resignation. He was silent for what felt like an eternity. Then he said something that broke my heart. "If you're willing to do this for us, for our family, then I have no right to stop you. But Sarah, please, I'm begging you, don't fall in love with anyone. That's the only thing I ask. You can do whatever you need to do, but don't give them your heart. That belongs here, with me, with our kids." I promised him that night. I swore on everything sacred that it would just be business, nothing more. I had no idea how impossibly naive that promise was. My first 3 clients were exactly what I expected. Older businessmen who wanted arm candy for corporate events. They were polite, professional, generous with payment, and completely forgettable. I'd smile, make small talk, laugh at their jokes, and come home with enough money to make a dent in our debts. David never asked for details, and I never offered them. We had an unspoken agreement to simply not discuss it. Then came Marcus. The agency called me on a Tuesday afternoon. They had a new client, younger than usual, early 40s, a tech entrepreneur who had just moved to Atlanta from Seattle. He needed someone to accompany him to a charity gala that Saturday, and he'd specifically requested someone intelligent and authentic. Those words should have been my first warning. This wasn't going to be like the others. I met Marcus at the entrance of the Ritz-Carlton on Saturday evening. I prepared myself for another forgettable businessman in an expensive suit. But when I saw him, something in my chest tightened. He was tall, maybe 6'2", with dark hair graying at the temples and these incredibly intense gray-blue eyes that seemed to look straight through all my carefully constructed walls. He smiled when he saw me, Not the predatory smile I'd gotten used to from other clients, but something genuine and warm. "Sarah," he asked, extending his hand. "I'm Marcus. Thank you for agreeing to this evening." His handshake was firm but gentle, and I noticed his hands. They weren't the soft hands of someone who spent all day in boardrooms. They had small scars, calluses. These were hands that built things, that worked, that created. I found myself wondering about his story. The gala was at the High Museum of Art, a fundraiser for children's literacy programs. As we walked through the exhibits, Marcus didn't parade me around like a trophy the way other clients had. Instead, he actually talked to me. He asked about my teaching job, about what books I loved, about my kids. And here's what terrified me. I found myself giving him real answers. Not the rehearsed, pleasant responses I'd perfected over the past 2 months. Real, honest, vulnerable answers. Your support helps this channel grow and share more stories like this. If you haven't subscribed yet, please take a second to click that subscribe button. We're on our way to 5,000 subscribers, and every single one of you matters. Let's reach that goal together. During dinner, Marcus told me about his daughter, Lily, who is 8 years old and lived with his ex-wife in Seattle. He showed me pictures on his phone, his entire face transforming with pure love as he talked about her. "I moved here for a fresh start," he said quietly. "The divorce was brutal. My ex-wife made sure I understood that I'd failed her, failed Lily, failed at being a husband and father. Sometimes I believe her." I saw my own pain reflected in his eyes, and without thinking, I reached across the table and touched his hand. "I'm sure that's not true," I said. "I can see how much you love your daughter just from the way you talk about her." He turned his hand over and gently squeezed mine. "Thank you," he said. "You don't know how much I needed to hear that. We should have let go of each other's hands then. But we didn't. We sat there in that elegant restaurant, two broken people holding onto each other like lifelines, and I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Seen. Truly seen by another human being." After that night, Marcus became a regular client. He'd book me every week, sometimes twice a week. We went to dinners, art galleries, concerts. He paid the agency generously, which meant I was finally able to catch up on our mortgage and start paying down the credit cards. David was relieved, grateful even, though I could see it was killing him inside. But he never broke our agreement not to discuss details. With Marcus, the lines started blurring dangerously fast. He'd text me during the week, not to arrange appointments, but just to talk. He'd send me articles he thought I'd find interesting, music recommendations, pictures of street art he saw that reminded him of our conversations. And I'd respond, eagerly, hungrily, soaking up this attention like someone who'd been dying of thirst. 2 months into our arrangement, Marcus asked me to spend an entire weekend with him. The agency approved it. The payment was substantial enough to completely eliminate one of our credit cards. But I absolutely knew, that a weekend would be different. A weekend meant intimacy that went beyond holding hands at a restaurant or a brief kiss for appearances at an event. I told David about the weekend request. He looked at me for a long moment, and I saw something die in his eyes. "Do what you need to do," he said flatly. "Just remember your promise to me." How could I tell him that I was already breaking that promise? That I thought about Marcus constantly? That I'd catch myself smiling at my phone when his text came through? That for the first time in years, I felt excited about something? The weekend was at a beach house in Hilton Head, South Carolina. Marcus picked me up early Saturday morning, and we drove with the windows down, music playing, talking and laughing like old friends. No, more than friends. We both knew it, and we were both pretending we didn't. If this story is resonating with you, please consider subscribing to the channel. Your subscription helps us reach our goal of 5,000 subscribers. Just hit that red subscribe button and be part of this community. We share real stories from real people, and your support makes it all possible. The beach house was beautiful, right on the ocean, all windows and light. Marcus showed me to the guest room, making it clear I had my own space. "No pressure, Sarah," he said softly. "I just wanted time with you. Time to talk, to be ourselves. That's all." We spent that afternoon on the beach, walking for miles, talking about everything and nothing. He told me about his childhood in Portland, about his mother who died when he was 16, about building his first company from his garage and selling it for $20 million. I told him things I'd never told anyone, about how lonely my marriage had become, about how I sometimes looked at David and couldn't remember why we'd fallen in love, about the guilt that consumed me every single day. As the sun set, we sat on the sand, shoulders touching, watching the sky turn impossible shades of orange and purple. "Sarah," Marcus said quietly, "I need to tell you something, and I need you to really hear me." My heart was pounding. I knew what was coming, and I was terrified. "I know this started as a transaction," he continued, staring at the ocean. "I paid an agency, you needed money, it was supposed to be simple. But nothing about you is simple. You're extraordinary. You're brilliant and funny and broken in all the same ways I'm broken, and when I'm with you, I remember what it feels like to be alive. I'm falling for you, Sarah. I've probably already fallen." I should have stopped him right there. I should have reminded him this was temporary, that I was married, that I'd made a promise to my husband. But instead, I turned to face him, tears streaming down my face, and I said the words that would destroy everything. "I'm falling for you too." He cupped my face in his hands, wiping away my tears with his thumbs, and then he kissed me. Not a performative kiss for appearances, but a real kiss, full of hunger and longing and something that felt dangerously close to love. We kissed on that beach until the stars came out, and then we went back to the house and everything changed. I won't give you explicit details because some things are too sacred to share, even in confession. But I will tell you this. That night with Marcus, I felt alive in a way I hadn't felt in a decade. He touched me like I was precious, like every part of me mattered. He looked into my eyes and I felt seen, truly seen, perhaps for the first time in my entire life. We talked until dawn, tangled in sheets, sharing secrets and fears and dreams. He traced the stretch marks on my stomach from my pregnancies and called them beautiful. He kissed every scar, every imperfection, and made me feel like I was enough. More than enough. Sunday morning, lying in his arms, reality crashed back in. I had to go home. I had to look David in the eye. I had to kiss my children goodnight, knowing I'd just betrayed everything I claimed to value. Marcus sensed my spiral. "Sarah, look at me," he said gently. "I'm not asking you to leave your family. I would never ask that. But I can't pretend this didn't happen. I can't pretend I don't feel what I feel. What do we do now?" "I don't know," I whispered. "I honestly don't know." Please subscribe to this channel if you want to hear how this story continues. We're building a community of people who understand that life is complicated and messy and nothing is ever black and white. Click subscribe now and help us reach 5,000 subscribers. Your support means everything. The drive back to Charlotte was silent, both of us lost in our thoughts. When Marcus dropped me off 3 blocks from my house as usual, he kissed me one more time. "Whatever you decide," he said, "I'm here. I'm not going anywhere." I walked home in a daze. David was in the kitchen making lunch for the kids when I came in. Emma ran up and hugged me, chattering about a school project. Lucas showed me a drawing he'd made. And David just looked at me with this expression I couldn't read. He knew. Somehow he knew. That night, after the kids were asleep, David came into our bedroom where I was unpacking my weekend bag. "Did you keep your promise?" he asked quietly. I could have lied.
It would have been so easy to lie.
But I was so tired of lying to him, to myself, to everyone. "No," I said simply. "I didn't." He nodded slowly, like he'd expected that answer. "Are you in love with him?" "I don't know. Maybe. I think so." The words tumbled out. "David, I'm so sorry. I never meant for this to happen. But he makes me feel things I haven't felt in so long, things I forgot I could even feel. And I know that's not fair to you, I know I'm the villain here, but I don't know how to unfeel what I'm feeling." David sat down on the edge of the bed, his shoulders slumped. "I've lost you, haven't I?" "I don't know," I said honestly. "I don't know anything anymore." "Does he know you're married? Does he know about Emma and Lucas?"
Yes.
He knows everything. And he's okay with it? He's okay being the other man? He says he doesn't want to pressure me, that he'll accept whatever I decide. David laughed bitterly. How noble of him. He gets to play the hero, while I'm the husband who sent his wife out to prostitute herself. That's what this is, isn't it, Sarah? That's what I reduced you to. Don't, I said sharply. Don't you dare put this all on yourself. I made the choice to go to that agency. I made the choice to keep seeing Marcus. I made the choice to break my promise to you. This is on me. But I created the situation that led to all of this, David said. If I'd been a better provider, if I hadn't lost the client, if I'd... Stop, I interrupted. We can play the what-if game forever. The truth is our marriage was falling apart long before the money problems. We were already strangers, David. The debt just gave us something to focus on instead of facing what we'd become.
He was quiet for a long time.
Then he asked the question I'd been dreading. What do you want, Sarah? Forget about me. Forget about what's right or wrong, or what people will think. What do you actually want? I want to feel alive, I said, tears streaming down my face. I want someone to look at me like I matter. I want conversations that make me think and laugh and feel. I want passion and intensity and to be seen as a woman, not just a mother or a teacher or a wife. And I know that makes me selfish and terrible, but it's the truth. And I don't give you those things, David said. It wasn't a question. You did once, I said softly. In the beginning you did. But somewhere along the way, we both stopped trying. We got comfortable and complacent, and we let the best parts of us die. If you're invested in this story and want to know what happens next, please hit the subscribe button. We're working toward 5,000 subscribers, and we need your help to get there. Every subscription tells us you want more real, honest stories like this one.
Please subscribe now.
David stood up. I need some time to think, he said. I'm going to sleep in the guest room tonight. That was 3 months ago. Since then, David and I have been living in this strange limbo. We're cordial in front of the kids. We handle household logistics, but we barely speak about anything real. We haven't touched each other. We exist in the same space, but in completely separate worlds. And I've continued seeing Marcus. The agency is no longer involved. He pays me directly now, which somehow feels more honest. Twice a week, sometimes 3 times, I drive to Atlanta, and I step into this other life. With Marcus, I'm not Sarah, the struggling mom and wife. I'm just Sarah, a woman who is desired and cherished and seen. But the guilt is eating me alive. Every time Emma hugs me goodnight, every time Lucas asks me to read him a story, I feel this crushing weight of what I'm doing to our family. I'm tearing apart the only stability my children have ever known. And for what? For feelings? For passion? What kind of mother does that make me? Marcus has been patient, but I can sense his frustration growing. Last week, he asked me point blank, Sarah, what are we doing here? I'm falling more in love with you every day, and you go home to another man. I know you have kids to consider. I know it's complicated, but at some point you're going to have to make a choice. I can't keep being your secret forever. What do you want me to say? I asked him. That I'll leave my husband and kids and run away with you? Marcus, my children are 9 and 7 years old. I can't just blow up their entire world because I caught feelings for someone. I'm not asking you to abandon your kids, he said gently. I'm asking you to stop abandoning yourself. People get divorced every day, Sarah. Kids survive. Kids are resilient. But they're also perceptive, and I guarantee you they can feel the tension in your house. Staying in a dead marriage for the kids doesn't actually protect them. It just teaches them that this is what love looks like. His words haunted me because I knew he was right. Emma had asked me last week why Daddy sleeps in the guest room now. Lucas had drawn a picture at school of our family, and in it, David and I were on opposite sides of the paper with the kids in the middle. Even at their age, they knew something was deeply wrong. But here's what terrifies me. What if I leave David for Marcus, and it doesn't work out? What if this intensity between us is just because it's forbidden, and once we're together legitimately, it fizzles out? What if I blow up my entire life for something that isn't even real? Your subscription really helps this channel thrive. If you've been following along and you want to support more stories like this, please click subscribe. We're almost at 5,000 subscribers, and we couldn't do it without you. Hit that button now and be part of this journey with us. 2 weeks ago, things came to a head in the worst possible way. David found text messages between Marcus and me on my phone. I'd been careless, left my phone on the kitchen counter while I was helping Lucas with homework. When I came back, David was standing there reading my messages, his face completely drained of color. The texts weren't explicit, but they were intimate. Marcus telling me he missed me responding that I couldn't stop thinking about him saying he'd started looking at houses with extra bedrooms so Emma and Lucas could visit, me sending a heart emoji. Houses with extra bedrooms? David said, his voice shaking. You're planning a future with him? You're discussing my children visiting your boyfriend's house. David, Don't, he cut me off. Don't you dare try to explain this away. You're not just having an affair, Sarah. You're planning a whole new life that doesn't include me. Do you have any idea how that feels? I've been here trying to fix myself, trying to figure out how to be the man you need, and you've already moved on. You've been building an exit strategy right under my nose. That's not what's happening, I said, but my voice lacked conviction because maybe that was exactly what was happening. I want a divorce, David said flatly. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not competing for my own wife against some rich guy who gets to play hero while I'm here dealing with the real-life stuff. You want him? Fine. Go be with him. But I'm done. He hired a lawyer the next day. We're now in the process of separating, which means soon I'll have to tell Emma and Lucas that Mommy and Daddy aren't going to be together anymore. I'll have to watch their hearts break and know that I did this. I destroyed the family they depend on because I was selfish and weak and couldn't control my feelings. Marcus was thrilled when I told him David wanted a divorce. This is our chance, Sarah, he said, pulling me into his arms. We can finally be together for real. No more hiding, no more guilt. Just us. But instead of feeling relieved, I felt nauseous. Because suddenly it wasn't theoretical anymore. It was real. My marriage was actually ending. My kids would grow up in a broken home. And it was all because of choices I made. Last night, I was lying awake at 2 a.m, and I had this moment of absolute clarity. I realized that I'd been so focused on what Marcus gives me, what I've been missing in my marriage, that I never actually dealt with the real problem. I never fought for my marriage. The second things got hard, I looked for an escape route instead of doing the painful work of rebuilding what David and I once had. Maybe David and I could have recovered from the financial crisis. Maybe we could have gone to therapy, learned to communicate again, remembered how to be partners instead of roommates. But I'll never know because I took the easy way out. I found someone new and exciting who made me feel good about myself, and I used that as an excuse to give up on my marriage. This morning, I called Marcus. I need some time, I told him. Everything is moving too fast, and I need to think clearly about what I actually want. He was silent for a moment. Are you ending this? He asked quietly. I don't know, I said honestly. I just know that I can't keep running from one man to another. I need to figure out who I am and what I actually want, not just what feels good in the moment. And what about us? He asked. What about everything we feel for each other? If it's real, I said, it'll still be there after I've had time to think. And if it's not, then we both deserve to know that before I completely destroy my family. He wasn't happy, but he said he understood. We haven't spoken in 3 days. Make sure you subscribe to this channel so you don't miss any updates to this story. We're building toward 5,000 subscribers, and your support is crucial. Click that subscribe button now and join our community of people who understand that life isn't simple and stories don't always have easy answers. Meanwhile, I asked David if he'd be willing to go to couples therapy before we finalize the divorce. To my surprise, he agreed. We had our first session yesterday, and it was brutal. The therapist asked us to each describe when we felt our marriage started to fall apart, and we both had completely different answers. David said it was when I stopped touching him affectionately about 3 years ago. I said it was when he started working late every night and stopped asking about my day about 5 years ago. So you've both been unhappy for years, the therapist said, but neither of you communicated that to the other. Instead, you both just withdrew further and further until there was nothing left connecting you. Does that sound accurate? We both nodded miserably. And now there's infidelity, the therapist continued, looking at me. Sarah, I want you to understand something crucial. The affair isn't the problem. It's a symptom of the problem. The question isn't whether you should be with David or with Marcus. The question is, are you capable of being emotionally intimate and vulnerable with anyone? Because based on what you've told me, you've spent years building walls to protect yourself from hurt, and the second someone managed to get past those walls, you latched onto them like a life raft. That's not love. That's desperation. Her words hit me like a physical blow. Was she right? Was my connection with Marcus just about him being the first person in years to pay attention to me? Would I feel the same intensity with anyone who showed me kindness and interest? And David, the therapist, turned to him. You need to examine why you were so quick to shut down emotionally when life got stressful. You turned to work as an escape, leaving Sarah completely alone to deal with the emotional labor of your marriage and family. You can't blame her for seeking connection elsewhere when you stopped providing it at home. We left that session in silence, both of us reeling. But that night, for the first time in months, David knocked on my bedroom door. Can we talk? He asked. We sat on the bed, a careful distance between us, and we talked. Really talked. For 4 hours. We unpacked years of resentment and hurt and misunderstanding. He cried when he told me how inadequate he'd felt when he couldn't provide for our family. I cried when I told him how invisible I'd felt, like I was just a function in his life rather than a person. We talked about the early years, when we were happy, when we couldn't keep our hands off each other, when we'd stay up all night talking about our dreams. I miss you, David said finally. Not the version of you from before all this. I miss the you I married, the woman who used to laugh at my terrible jokes and make up silly songs for the kids and look at me like I hung the moon. I miss you too, I admitted. I miss us. But David, I don't know if we can get that back. So much has happened. I betrayed you in the worst way possible. How do you even begin to forgive something like that? I don't know, he said. But maybe we owe it to ourselves and to Emma and Lucas to at least try. Not because divorce is wrong or because we're scared of change, but because we never actually fought for this marriage. We gave up without even trying. And what about Marcus? I asked quietly. David flinched at the name, but held my gaze. You need to end it completely. Not just pause it, but end it. If we're going to try to rebuild this marriage, I need to know that you're all in. I can't compete with him in your head while also trying to win back your heart. He was right. I knew he was right. But the thought of ending things with Marcus felt like cutting off a part of myself. How do you walk away from someone who makes you feel alive? How do you choose obligation over passion? That was 2 days ago. I still haven't called Marcus to officially end things. Every time I pick up my phone, I freeze. Because once I make that call, there's no going back. I'll be choosing my marriage, choosing to do the hard work of rebuilding something that might be too broken to fix, and letting go of something that feels like magic. But here's what keeps me up at night. What if I'm about to make the biggest mistake of my life? What if David and I do all this work, go to therapy, try to reconnect, and in 6 months, we're right back where we started? What if we're just incompatible now? Too much damage done, too much water under the bridge. Meanwhile, I'll have thrown away my chance with Marcus, someone who actually wants me, who sees me, who makes me feel like the best version of myself. Please subscribe to our channel if you want to continue following this journey. We're so close to 5,000 subscribers, and your support helps us share these raw, honest stories. Click subscribe now and be part of this community. Or what if the therapist is right and my feelings for Marcus are just an illusion? What if I'm confusing attention and novelty with actual love? What if I leave David, start a life with Marcus, and 6 months and I realize I made a terrible mistake? That I destroyed my family for nothing? I feel paralyzed by these questions. Every choice feels wrong. Stay with David? I'm settling, choosing comfort and familiarity over genuine passion. Leave for Marcus? I'm selfish, destroying my children's stability for my own happiness. Try to be alone and figure out who I am without either of them? I'm a coward, running away from having to make a real decision. Emma asked me this morning if Daddy and I are getting a divorce. She's 9 years old, and she shouldn't have to ask that question. I told her that Mommy and Daddy are working through some grown-up problems and that we love her and Lucas more than anything in the world. She looked at me with these wise, sad eyes and said, "I just want you both to be happy, Mommy, even if that means you're not together." That broke me. My 9-year-old daughter giving me permission to blow up her world because she can see I'm unhappy. What kind of mother have I been that my child feels she needs to reassure me? Last night, Marcus called. I let it go to voicemail because I still didn't know what to say. His message was simple. "Sarah, I love you. I know this is hard, I know you're torn, but I need you to know that I'm here. Whatever you decide, whatever happens, I love you. Call me when you're ready." Those 3 words, "I love you." David hasn't said them to me in over a year. Marcus says them constantly. Doesn't that mean something? Doesn't love matter? But then I think about David, about the man I married, about the father he is to our children, about the life we've built together, the memories we've made, the history we share. Can I really throw all that away? Should I? I have a therapy session tomorrow, individual this time. The therapist wants to work with me on understanding my patterns, why I run from discomfort, why I seek validation from outside sources instead of building it within myself. Maybe she'll help me see which path is right. Or maybe there is no right path. Maybe every choice leads to hurt and loss and regret in different ways. Maybe I'm just trying to choose which pain I can live with. David told me last night that he's willing to fight for us, but only if I am too. "I can't do this alone, Sarah," he said. "I can't be the only one trying to save our marriage. You have to want this too. You have to choose us." But how do I choose when my heart is pulling me in 2 different directions? How do I know if what I feel for Marcus is real love or just the intoxication of feeling wanted again? How do I know if David and I can actually fix what's broken or if we're just delaying the inevitable? I wish I could tell you I've figured it out, that I've made a decision, that I know what I'm doing. But I don't. I'm standing at this impossible crossroads, and every direction looks both right and wrong simultaneously. So now I'm asking you, because I genuinely don't know what to do anymore. If you were in my position, what would you choose? Would you fight for the marriage you've had for 11 years, the father of your children, the man who's willing to work on rebuilding what you've lost? Or would you follow your heart towards someone new, someone who makes you feel alive and seen and desired, even knowing it means destroying your family as you know it? Would you choose duty or passion? Comfort or excitement? The known or the unknown? What would you do in my place? Drop your answer in the comments because I really need to hear from people who might see this situation more clearly than I can right now. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel. Help us reach our goal of 5,000 subscribers. Your subscription supports this community where we can share these messy, complicated, real-life stories without judgment. Click that subscribe button now. I'll be reading every single comment, looking for wisdom, looking for perspective, looking for anything that might help me figure out what the hell I'm supposed to do next. Because right now, I'm lost. And I'm terrified that whatever I choose, I'm going to regret it for the rest of my life. What would you do?